If you've been with me on this writing journey for a while, you'll have heard me say that all fictional characters are made up of the same three elements: character, personality, and perspective. And in this video, we're going to look at character, the first and arguably most important element, and we're going to examine its components: beliefs, qualities, values, principles, and morals, which all relate back to each other in some shape or form. And we're going to see how, once it clicks, our understanding of character will help us create unique and complex fictional characters who are distinctly different from each other. To do that, we're going to conveniently forget that we're talking about fictional characters and believe that we're talking about human beings. If we take beliefs, to believe in something means that we accept that it's true or that it exists, especially without proof. And instead of going straight to religion, which is what most of us associate beliefs with, let's take a few simpler day-to-day examples. If we work hard, we'll be rewarded. Or we must always respect and obey our elders and people who occupy high-ranking positions. What about there's some good in everyone, no matter who they are or what they may have done in their lives? It's good and well if this is what we believe, but let's look at the potential reality of holding on to those beliefs. If we work hard, we'll be rewarded. So we enter the workforce, we work hard and provide real results. But instead of getting the promotion, it goes to the person who was nicest to the manager, who always got him coffee and who always attended after work drinks. So for ourselves, the reality didn't match the expectation or the belief. We only skipped the after work drinks because we wanted to hand in our project on time, in line with our pre-established belief that that was what was most important, while the other guy got an extension on the project and a promotion. So maybe after years and years of sticking to this belief with no commensurate reward, no matter how many managers came in, we adjust our belief to, it's not just about the work. If I learn to play the corporate game, I'll get recognized, then I'll also be rewarded for my achievements. Or we must always respect and obey our elders and people who occupy high-ranking positions. This is deeply cultural, but I think more and more society is collectively moving towards the respect is earned camp. Or lastly, there's some good in everyone, no matter who they are or what they may have done. And let's just say this is the belief you hold and someone breaks into your home to rob you. And you're understanding, you say, hey, I know things may not be so good right now, I can help you. But the guy knocks you out and robs you anyways. Despite this negative experience, you still believe that everyone has redeeming qualities and you're sensitive to the circumstances that may have made them feel like they had no other option but to do what they did. So in this case, that would represent holding on to a belief. Move on to qualities. Qualities are the distinctive attributes possessed by someone or something. If we're talking about a table, we could say it's sturdy or made of the most exquisite walnut. If we talk about our own qualities, we could say that we believe ourselves to have integrity or that we're dependable or honest. But even our qualities can and do change over time. We can become more of something or less of something depending on a whole lot of reasons, like the type of career we get into. Qualities can become deeply affected by what we do for work. Think about some of the things that lawyers or politicians have to do to hold their positions, or hired workers who charge by the hour versus those charging for a completed job. Our qualities also become impacted by addictions to substances, prescription drugs, hard drugs, alcohol, even food, or by getting into a relationship. Of course, it depends on who you get into a relationship with, but if it's with someone you learn you can't trust, qualities you never knew you had to begin with start to come out, like possessiveness or jealousy. Maybe you become a stalker, whereas before you prided yourself on being chilled or nonchalant, but your experience having been in that relationship changes you fundamentally, so much so that with every new relationship, you're on guard, preemptively looking out for the warning signs, no matter who the person is. So we have to acknowledge and accept that distinctive qualities about ourselves can and do change over time, almost like a rebrand as we go through life-altering experiences. So if you meet your childhood friend and they say, hey, I'm the same person I was back in high school, you can trust me, they're lying, probably to themselves because they lack the finesse of self-awareness, unless they've literally been ruminating in a bubble in their bedroom for the past 15 to 20 years. And I'm using these way out examples to show you that the experiences we go through change us. Even if it doesn't happen the first or the second time something life altering happens, eventually we learn to let go of what we used to hold strongly to by figuring out what's most important to us. As an example, could we bear letting go of our belief system that we need to work hard to instead go out and party and risk not handing in something on time, even though we're partying with the manager? I mean, he's the one who says he needs the project on his desk by tomorrow. So if we weigh it up, we could risk our reputation if he doesn't give us the extension. That means we lose our dependability. It's one of our best qualities. It feeds into our integrity. We're given a piece of work and we're trusted to do a good job and hand it in on time. So it's already becoming quite apparent that the components that make up character, specifically what we've covered already, beliefs and qualities, they're interrelated and they feed off of each other. And ultimately, the choices we make, should we stay late and finish up or go out and engage in FaceTime with the boss, depends on what we value and what our principles are. Our values show us literally where we place value. It determines the importance or the worth of something that eventually shows us where our priorities lie. It also guides our decisions and our actions towards others. And it's very similar with principles, which are rules, beliefs, and ideas that guide us. Morals represent our standards of behavior, our principles of right and wrong. I mean, when we were kids, it was probably easy to say to our parents, why don't you feed the homeless guy down the street? It's the right thing to do. It's morally correct. But as you get older and you start to work and see the world for what it really is, you wouldn't think that not giving money or food to a homeless person is immoral or wrong, as you once did. You're now just living your life day to day, working 2 jobs and still not making ends meet. You're not the person on the street, but you do go hungry every now and then, and no one's out there looking to give you a handout. So even our concept of morality can shift in response to our lived experiences. So by adding up these individual components, we get to see what makes a person's complete character. And over time, through our lived experiences, the elements that make up our character move, change, and evolve. Because as people, as human beings, we're not fixed points. We're dynamic. We live a number of years, and during those years, we go through many life-changing experiences that mold our characters. And these experiences shake our belief systems. They highlight our sense of morality. They make us question what we value or where we place value. And it may end up that the qualities we've attached to ourselves that kept us alive and fed and appreciated when we were young and taken care of have to be adjusted for our new circumstances at every life stage. Because we realize that those old qualities no longer serve us or no longer feel authentic to us being who we want to be. This is the perfect time for an example and to illustrate how no two people have the same life experiences. They might go through the same experience, but they will experience it differently and in accordance with their individual characters. This is true for everyone, even siblings or twins who grow up in the same house with the same parents and are exposed to or do the same things. And this is because they have their own unique qualities, principles, values, sense of morality, because they're not the same person. And it's true that they also have their own personalities and perspectives, but we're talking specifically about what they're made up of on the inside, how they arrive at decisions, how they decipher right from wrong, how to treat people. Or if we aggregate all of that into our meaning of character, it's our unique thumbprint for how we show up and exist in the world. That's what character is. So our twins might look identical. You might not be able to tell one from the other, but on the inside, they're distinctly different. Twin 1 may have loved the shared experience of dressing up the same as their brother or sister, always doing and eating and enjoying the same things. But Twin 2 might have felt like they had no agency or individuality, always a part of something whole, but never whole themselves, with their own likes and dislikes that were celebrated. And that's childhood, but what happens when they're adults? Twin 2, who wanted to be treated as an individual, makes the decision to move away and distance themselves from their family and hometown because they want to make their mark as an individual. They want to know, what am I capable of achieving in my own right? But Twin 1, who loved the shared experiences, they're kind of lost because their identity was tied to their twin, and they were more than happy for that to be the case. They didn't mind or feel slighted sharing everything because that's what brought them joy, to be a part of something that they believed made them unique, not being upset about sharing toys or experiences or having something that was just for them. So they've got to go through the same experience of figuring out who they are as one complete human being with no ties to their safety tether or their twin. Based on their personal feelings about living life as an identical twin, and with each twin having such extreme feelings about it, clearly they have their own unique beliefs, qualities, values, principles, and morals. Maybe they deviated very slightly, but they manifested in extremes, with twin 1 happy to live like this until the end of their days, and twin 2 feeling the need to set themselves apart. So we can already theorize that these siblings, these twins, are not going to approach this newfound freedom and individuality in the same way. Twin 2 is going to find it much easier because they're the one who needed to break free. They can breathe, they can be their own person. Most importantly, they're excited about this next chapter. Twin 1, however, feels blindsided, lost, without a firm sense of self or identity, and not sure what to do next, because they haven't been planning this on the down low their entire life. And they're still in their hometown, so the townsfolk, they see Twin 1 the way they've always seen them, as part of something whole, not as something whole. So in feeling alone for the first time, or without a proper sense of identity, because being a twin was their identity, Twin 1 has to try even harder to figure out what their next chapter looks like, going it alone. And maybe they find that they kind of enjoy it, but every time they run into someone, the conversation always inevitably turns to, where's the other twin? And so Twin 1 finally starts to get why that's so irritating, because now that they're forced to establish their own identity, being constantly reminded that they're only a part of something has them understanding how Twin 2 must have always felt, and probably why they felt they needed to get away as soon as possible. So even identical twins who grow up literally looking the same, being treated the same, having the same experiences and the same access to resources like family, friends, education, and opportunities, even they can't be expected to hold the same beliefs, values, qualities, principles, and morals, because at the end of the day, they are different people. Everything I've said to you so far about people, human beings, who are either friends, siblings, twins, co-workers, any subset of people who appear to go through exactly the same set of experiences, in reality will always end up experiencing it differently and in accordance with who they are on the inside, in accordance with their beliefs and their value systems specifically. And it's exactly the same when it comes to fictional characters. And this is the start of how we can begin to think about crafting uniquely differentiated characters. What one character might see as an opportunity of a lifetime, another might believe is too big a risk to take a chance, even if the outcome is what they both deeply desire. So let's do a recap. We know fictional characters are made up of character, personality, and perspective, and we're focusing on character, which is made up of our fictional characters' beliefs, values, qualities, principles, and morals. And these move and change and evolve over time as we go through life and all its experiences. But our qualities, our principles, and morals, what we believe and value, belong only to us and can never be taken away from us. And what this means is that all the components of character belong to us in such unique quantities that it doesn't matter if we're identical twins or if we're clones. A single individual is never going to have the same experience as another. Let's end with one last example. I could go on a roller coaster with my best friend, and at the time, we could both agree that this was the best roller coaster experience we've ever had. And still, the value we both attach to the experience will never be identical, even though we both hold exactly the same feeling about the experience. Because let's look 10 years into the future. I haven't seen my friend in 10 years. We both went off in different directions after school, and we meet up at the reunion and we get to talking about the last time we saw each other, which incidentally was when we rode the roller coaster. And I say, because I still believe that that was the best roller coaster ride I've ever been on. Even though 2 years ago I went to Disney and rode 5 roller coasters that were all Star Wars themed. But I digress. And my friend says, well, the best roller coaster I've ever been on was at Ferrari World. Kvasha, you've got to go. You'll forget all about that silly roller coaster we went on 10 years ago. So, how have things changed? It's obvious that we've changed. For me, maybe I didn't realize it, but I valued the experience I had with my best friend because I had it with my best friend. That's a memory and an experience I'll never forget. And because I value it so much, it elevated the actual roller coaster experience ride. Yes, we've grown up, we've grown apart, but every time I see a roller coaster, I ride a roller coaster, or I think about a roller coaster, I think about her and I think about that experience we had. It transports me back in time to one of the best days I ever had before I moved away from home. And that's what's valuable to me. It's an experience that lives on in nostalgia, and that's what makes it the best roller coaster ride I've ever been on. To her, she's clearly less emotional, more logical, because she's thinking objectively about the best roller coaster ride she's ever been on. I am not a factor in her decision making. Maybe where she assigned values changed, but I don't think so. She's more logical, more practical, or maybe this is who she's always been. And with her exposure to a different way of life, she was comfortable expressing herself in that way, truthfully and authentically. Qualities she now values even more than the qualities she relied upon when we were younger. So you can see on that day, 10 years ago, we were so important to each other. And having that experience together meant everything to us. And if you'd caught her even a year later, she would have said, "That's the best roller coaster I've ever been on. Best day ever, best ride ever, best friend ever." And even though she believes it's possibly the worst roller coaster ride she's ever been on, she'll also tell you it was one of the best days she's ever had. Because when her life is almost over, she'll think back to that day, to the matching shorts we wore, the hot dogs we ate, as she recalls the happiest moments of her existence, that being one of them. So this example is a fictional story, and according to what I personally value, every roller coaster ride is the best roller coaster ride until the next roller coaster ride. You probably won't be able to change my mind because that's my belief. I am resolute in that belief. Remember that word because it's important. It means that you probably won't be able to change my mind even if you have good, hard evidence. And in the next video, we're going to talk about what it means to have a resolute versus a malleable character.